if you're in your 40s to 60s, or maybe even a little older than that, and you're fortunate enough to have done well financially, I really want to encourage you to be thoughtful and deliberate about whether you keep working or not. If you love your job, you know, if in your heart of hearts, when you're by yourself at night, falling asleep on a Sunday night and you're thinking about going to work on Monday, if in your heart of hearts you're really excited to do that and you're really looking forward to it and you just love what you do, then absolutely keep doing it. But if you're not, I just want to encourage you to be thoughtful about it and make sure that, you know, you've won and the brass ring is within reach. And I just want to encourage you to be thoughtful and deliberate and to think about it. And one of the things I tell people is, if you're 60 years old, unfortunately, you likely only have 1,000 weeks left of healthy, active time in front of you. And if you're 40 years old, you have more, but you only have 2,000 weeks of healthy, active time in front of you. And that's going to pass by very, very quickly. So, you know, a lot of folks continue to work because it's part of our identity. We've been doing it for a long time. We get social status from it. We like what we get to tell people what we do when they ask us at a party. And for those of you watching outside of the United States, one of the most common questions we get asked here when you meet somebody new is, what do you do for a living? But holding on to onto that title, holding on to that answer can be super expensive, right? It can rob you of adventures and experiences that at some point you're not going to be able to take anymore, right? So the answer at a party, I've had people say, well, what am I going to do when I'm no longer working? What am I going to tell people I do? And you don't have to say you're retired, right? I mean, that's one answer, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. Although in our culture, it doesn't have as high status as some other things. But one of the things you just say is, you know, what do you do? And your answer to that is, well, here's what I enjoy doing, right? It's actually the truest form of that answer. What do you enjoy doing? So, you know, if you're financially independent and you're continuing to work, but you know in your heart of hearts, you like your job, but maybe you don't love it, I just encourage you to be really thoughtful and deliberate and think through what's important to you. Think through, you know, why do you do what you do? Like, for instance, for me, I have a very strong need for accomplishment. I tell people that accomplishment is my drug of choice. So I continue to work. Why do I continue to work? I'm fortunate. I work with people that I really enjoy. I do work that I enjoy, and I have this strong sense of accomplishment, but I'm also able to blend in the adventures and excitement that I enjoy. For instance, you can probably tell I'm at a ski resort today, right? When it's a pretty day and I feel like going skiing, you know, if I don't have a lot of meetings, you know, that's okay with my organization. I don't get to do that every day, but if I want to take advantage of that a few times a year, and it puts a skip in my step and a smile on my face, you know, my boss is okay with me doing that. And, you know, it's one of the ways that I chose the job that I'm in. And which brings up another point, is really optimizing on your life as opposed to your bank account, right? When you're looking at life choices, maybe you're financially independent and you're saying, you know, if I work a couple more years, I can have a nicer retirement home. I can maybe have a second house and a place that I like to go on vacation. And that's all well and good. That's nice to be able to do. But think about what you're giving up in order to do that. And if that's if that's a trade-off that you're willing to do, you do you. It's your life. That's absolutely fine. Just be sure that you're thoughtful and deliberate about it, and you're giving yourself experiences and adventures, and you're taking advantage of that while you're young enough to take advantage of it, right? For instance, I learned how to surf when I was 50 years old. It's a lot easier to learn to surf when you're 50, although, you know, when you get tumbled around in a wave after it crashes, that can hurt a little bit, not too badly. But if I, you know, wanted to learn to surf and I hadn't done that till I was 70, I could still do it, and I probably would do it, but it'd be a lot harder. So there's these windows of opportunity for you. And I just want to make sure you're thinking about that, because it's just so easy for 5 years to fly by. And what you one thing that I found helpful is when I'm making big decisions like this, do I start thinking about, maybe instead of working another 20 years, if you're 40 years old, maybe you work another 5, and you think about transitioning and maybe taking some sabbaticals, what I call mini retirements along the way if you're going to work another 5 years. Maybe once a year you take a month off. Might be hard to do, but you can probably make that happen. And try out different things that you think would be fun. Because when you're 80 years old, you don't want to look back and have regrets. For me, when I'm 80 years old, I don't want to say, boy, I've got, just throw out a number, I've got $10 million in my bank account. I'm so proud of myself. I'd rather have spent that time with people that I love and care about, doing adventures and experiences, and just squeezing all the juice out of life, for lack of a better term. So I just encourage you to optimize on life. It's a spectrum, and to keep that in mind, because we're not going to be young forever. And when you're 80 years old, you're going to think back and you're going to value those memories much more than your bank account. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button. It really does help this channel grow. Leave me a comment. I love reading the comments. They're very inspiring. Let me know what you thought of this video. If there's a topic you'd like me to talk about in the future, I enjoy reading those as well. And until next time, I'm Azul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.